Hello, horror fans. It's me, Kylie, and today we have on a very special guest, the director of Dead Media, Joseph. How are you doing, Joseph?
I'm doing great. Very happy to be here.
Me too. I was such a huge fan of Dead Media. I'm super excited to talk about it. You guys probably maybe have not seen it yet. It is doing a limited theatrical run, but will be coming to VOD soon, hopefully.
Yep.
Awesome. But Dead Media is about just a troubled young woman whose movie night with her Gen X uncle, Heppy, turns just completely wild and unhinged with a haunted DVD. And it's just, if you're a 90s kid and grew up with the VHSs and the DVDs and video stores, you will love this. I do have a review out for it. So if you guys want to check that out before or after you watch the movie, but we're going to go ahead and get started.
Welcome to the Horrorcraft Podcast.
We're back. So, Joseph, it would not be a Horrorcraft episode if we didn't ask you some fun icebreaker questions. So, the first one is, what is the first horror movie that genuinely scared you?
Uh, the original Dracula, which I saw when I was like 6 years old at the library. The library would do these like, hey kids, screenings, and at that point, the Universal monsters weren't like necessarily considered scary, but Dracula scared me, and I also really liked it. So it was a good scare,
My co-host Cass, she is a very big like Dracula vampire fan, so she will love to hear that. Now, I'm sure you probably, making this movie, you're a big fan of physical media. Am I correct?
Yes.
What is one piece of media, physical media, that you will never get rid of?
I have this box set of VHS that came out like 1993 or 94. I don't remember which. But a big Twin Peaks fan. That show was extremely foundational for me, and my brother and I taped it off the television, but we missed a spot here, and we have to fast forward through the commercials. And they put out this box set of the complete season 1 and season 2, everything but the pilot because of the rights issues. And that was at a time yet where we hadn't got to DVDs yet. We hadn't got to like you can have the whole season. So it just like blew my mind that I could have all of Twin Peaks minus the pilot. And I watched it so many times, and those tapes were so poor quality. And by the time I was done watching it, it was just a blur of orange pretty much. But I loved it so much, and it meant a lot to me.
I think a lot of people probably don't realize that, but even before DVDs, like, I don't think they really did a whole lot of like shows with like even on VHS really like that a lot. We definitely had like a lot of VHS tapes and a lot of DVDs. But I can't recall of any like shows that we had that were on VHSs that weren't like what you and your brother did, like recording it. So that's really, really cool. I also did not know that there was like a rights issue with the pilot. That's kind of wild not to have it in the complete set because of something like that.
Yeah, it's a whole thing. But yeah, it's been a curse of Twin Peaks fans for many years, but they got it sorted out now, so it's all together on the Blu-rays.
That's good, of course. Now, if you could own one movie prop from any horror film or show, what would it be?
Oh, yeah, that's very fun.
There's so many.
I know. It's very, very hard to choose. Maybe a knife from Scream, because Scream is another big touch point for me. And yeah, I would take almost any of them.
Yeah, I would probably take almost any of them, or a ghost face mask, but I think like maybe a knife might be a little bit more like attainable or like reasonable than like a mask. You know what I mean?
Yes, absolutely.
Now, VHS, DVD, Blu-ray, or streaming, which one are you choosing and why?
Right now, I'm going to choose Blu-ray because I do want the generally higher resolution.
Yeah.
Some of my DVDs still look great, and some of them like fight with the television in a like technology. Like what the first DVDs I ever bought, I went to the store with friends and I bought the player and I bought the at that time 3 film Scream complete box set, and 2 and 3 still look fine on DVD, and the first Scream is just it's unwatchable. So
Yeah.
in general, I go to Blu-ray. I really like the experience of watching it. I'll watch some things on streaming, but especially spending time with this film, I've got a deeper love and connection to physical media.
Yeah, I recently started kind of just getting back into like just getting a nice like physical media collection. Just because I'm tired of paying for streaming services and their costs just keep going up. They will take things on and off so much. And then like you can buy like a digital copy. Like me and Cass, we do that a lot. And like she has a very big library like on Fandango of movies that she's purchased. But there is just, I don't know, there's something about having the DVD and it reminds me of childhood. And even with the digital copies, like, I don't know, they can take those away. And I've even been buying more just Blu-rays, and I've never really had a lot of Blu-rays. And even trying to purchase a Blu-ray player, but I have an Xbox that plays Blu-rays, so that's because I think prices of Blu-ray players are kind of expensive considering they've been out for a while.
Yes.
But there definitely is like a different kind of quality when it comes to Blu-ray and just like a regular DVD.
Yeah, and I think the thing you're talking about with streaming, like I think I watch streaming too, but it's like part of a balanced diet. It shouldn't be the only thing, and I think because of the kind of the some of the business and the corporations, and they want it to be the only thing. And I think I feel that and really feel the difference of having something tangible, right? I just don't think that we can quite make the same relationship. If you see a streaming movie that you absolutely love, and you're like, cool, I'm going to buy it, and it's on my Fandango screen. That's so different than, I've had like DVDs and Blu-rays and VHS where like, I love the movie, so I just stare at the box, and then pretty soon I fall in love with that font, and then I'm out somewhere else in the world and like, well, that's Palatino. That's the font that was used on the VHS for the Universal Classic Monsters movie. And I just like, now I love a font because of this like transference from the tangible, And I think that's what we're losing a little bit with streaming, of it just like the literal physical connection to things we love in the world is important.
Well, and I think also like it's making just movie theaters kind of, it's becoming almost, it's not obsolete. There's people that are more going to the movie theaters to see horror movies now than really ever before, which is great. But like we can't let the movie theaters like die. Like that is really where just a lot of people that make the movies make their money, even though like the big studio people, like they don't really, I don't know, they don't really need just, I mean, I get it, but I don't know. But when it comes to just indie films, like people just don't realize what it takes to like make a movie, and like going to the movie theaters to see something is just a treat. I live in kind of a rural area in Ohio, and there's not like an AMC where they can get certain kinds of movies, and I'm a huge fan of Hell House LLC. That is one of my favorite horror franchises, and the one from last year, Lineage, was coming to theaters. They had not done that with any of the other ones, and it was not playing in my local theater, so I drove an hour and 49 minutes to go see it. But it was so much fun. Like they had the people that kind of like help create the mask or manufacture it, like you could go and buy like the clown masks at their website and they make them, but they were there and you could get pictures taken with the clown. They had the clown dressed up and walking around the movie theaters. Like it was just great. It was such a fun experience, and people aren't getting that enough, really.
Yeah, and that's so that the Dead Media is on this roadshow tour right now. And the distribution company Antenna Releasing is big on doing these roadshows and really trying to add bells and whistles. And I really leaned into that for Dead Media because I want it to be an experience. So we've got a little zine-like program that's got some like interactive parts where you can answer some horror movie questions and draw a picture. And we've got like some merch. We're selling a disc cleaning cloth that's branded with Dead Media, so you can wipe the haunted off your discs. And I do an intro at every screening. We give away a DVD. There's a Q&A, and I think it's so important for it to be an event again instead of just like come in, watch the movie. Like that's great, and we can all. That's a wonderful experience. But especially for an indie film, and you're asking people to come out and really make it worth their time and make it a social event too, and do things that make people talk to each other and interact with each other. And that connectivity is just so important to me about the experience of seeing things in the theater and in physical media.
That's really cool that you guys are doing that, having a DVD cleaning cloth. That I love that. That is super, super cool. What is the weirdest item or just horror item or physical media you have in your collection?
Weirdest is I think I'm very Dracula focused today. There's the Spanish version of Dracula that they shot at the same time.
Really?
Yes. And that was not available for a long time, and I've got it on Blu-ray. I don't currently have a VHS player in I have my wife and I have a very small one-bedroom apartment in Hollywood, and I'm in danger of dying from everything falling on me, kind of a situation. So I don't have a VHS player, but my local bookstore, record store, was selling a VHS copy of the Spanish Dracula. I don't even have a way to play it, but I like it so much, and the picture's cool. So I bought that recently.
I actually have a VHS DVD player combo that I got when my mother passed away. I don't even know how she got her hands on this thing. I know people, I think she may have even bought it off of eBay because she was really big into like eBay, but like I've looked them up. They are like hundreds of dollars now. I don't know if it's because it's like an antique, but it's super cool because I also have like an old ET VHS, and my son Zane, he has severe autism and is nonverbal. He loves ET.
Okay.
And I'll put it on sometimes, but I try and keep it put up because I don't want, we know how VHS players can mess up, so I try and keep it just put up like this is an antique and it must be treated as such because they don't manufacture these things really anymore. So
yeah, that's very cool.
But it really is. It's super cool. I have like some old VHSs I haven't tried out. Like there's just some kind of like kid movies and DVD ones, but I don't know. Growing up in the era of the transition from VHS to DVD it was kind of wild. Like, because with VHS, like the tapes would mess up all the time, especially if you watched it over and over again. But it was such a fun time. But it pairs really well with what we're going to be getting into, Dead Media. Now, where did this idea for just like the haunted DVD come from?
Yeah, I think sort of the beginning of it was back in that transition to when your player is from, when there was both VHS and DVD. Like the DVDs were coming out, and they were so shiny and new and exciting, and they were kind of empowering because you're literally driving, you're navigating, and you're learning all sorts of stuff about the inner workings of Hollywood that you didn't know before, and like. Some of the commentaries early on are like wild. It seems like, well, did anybody listen to this? You're like these actors and directors are saying some stuff maybe they shouldn't, kind of thing. So they were so fresh and new and exciting. And at the same time, the sort of VHS found footage horror was really coming
Yeah.
into itself with Blair Witch and The Ring. So there's such contrast between like, okay, VHS just kind of got pushed out technologically by DVDs, and now VHS is suddenly like the ancient scary thing, even though it was like still exists. So I remember thinking back then of like, I wonder if DVDs could ever be scary. Like they're so shiny and new. How could they ever be scary? And I always thought about that. And then when I got to wanting to write a feature film, I was thinking about the generational relationship of um, I love so many things from the past, but I want to be careful that I don't become just obsessed with life should only be the past. And
Yeah.
I've known people who get sort of stuck in that mode of, only movies from the 80s or the 90s are good. And why don't kids understand that? It's like, because they weren't born at the same time as you.
Yeah.
So I was thinking along those generational lines, and then all the thoughts that I used to have about DVDs came back to me. And I kind of felt like they do feel kind of haunted to me now because they were a part of, my youth, and is happens to all of us. My youth is gone, and some of it
Mhm.
is tied up with how exciting and full of possibility and potential the DVD was. So some of the kind of ideas in the film about absolutely loving physical media and advocating for it, but also feeling a little bittersweet about those kind of really early DVD days that you can't go back to, made the DVDs feel kind of haunted and scary. They're imbued with that moment of potential, and did the DVDs, did the people who love them live up to that potential? It feels kind of haunted to me.
It does a little bit. I do think, I mean, granted I'm 34. I definitely feel like I've entered a certain era of just being kind of stuck with certain old things, especially when it comes to just music or just some movies that I always gravitate towards back to.
Mm-hmm.
But I guess it's crazy when you become the thing you used to make fun of your parents for. But I think there was such a magic behind VHSs and DVDs, and just growing up in the era of going to Blockbuster or Family Video, and getting a DVD of a horror movie and being able to rent it, watch it, and then going and looking at the bonus content. Like
Mm-hmm.
I feel like we don't have, like, you remember the Butterfly Effect DVD?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And there was like two alternate endings. They don't do that anymore.
No, no, and I think that's part of it, to me, that feels sort of creepy about the old DVDs is that there are all sorts of great boutique labels who are doing the deep dive bonus features and like Criterion Collection, but the big main companies, they're so vanilla and safe. Even when they have a
Yeah.
director's commentary or that, it's so edited, and the featurettes are just like they're just commercials. And those early ones were like, are we're allowed to know all this?
I'm allowed to. Yeah.
Like, even
Well,
like,
and
yeah, like with the alternate endings of like, I think nowadays, like a lot of like the companies wouldn't be like, well, if we show them all the alternate endings, what if they think one's better? Like, no, we can't. There's like a safety level there that I think there's a rawness to those early DVDs, like Butterfly Effect, going, let's show them all the endings we
yeah.
almost did. Screw it.
Well, I don't know if you did you see Scream 7?
I did.
I was not really a fan of it, and just the reveal of the ghost faces. It has since come out that with test audiences that there was a post-credit scene where Stu was like actually alive.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and what test audiences, I don't know who thought like this was okay and that wasn't. I don't know. You guys need to call Horrorcraft Podcast and get us into these test screenings, because like we're just going to give you a better understanding of just what, as horror fans and just horror movie reviewers, of what we want. But could you imagine getting like the DVD and there being the alternate ending of
Yeah.
that post credit scene being in there? Like, that would be nice. I'd like to be delusional enough to think that, that's really how the movie ended. But I also think, I don't know if they are really just even filming a lot of like say alternate types of endings anymore because of just how budgets and money and things like that, even if it is, you know, a more indie horror film or a big studio horror film, I don't think they really want to like spend the money on trying to do something like that.
Yeah, it feels like they are wanting to sort of say it's got these bonus features, but then they're so clean. And yeah, and who knows? Maybe. Yeah, I saw that clip of Matthew Lillard talking about that. That little tag they filmed that revealed he was alive, and like put it out there, just put it on the disc, you know. And I think people who struggled with Scream 7 would be more likely to buy it and go, okay,
Yeah.
let me see if there's some things I can like about it. And because I think it's fascinating, because just a really, I agree with a lot of the criticism that the killer reveal didn't have the emotional punch that it
Yeah.
usually does.
Yeah.
But it's also just like it's such a different, all of the Scream films, even when we've had older characters or legacy characters, there's been a real focus on, these are coming of age stories. Like, to me, one of the reasons I love it, the original, is it's a woman growing up and deciding, who in my life can I trust, particularly men. It's so relatable.
Yeah.
And this film felt more like, this is a coming of middle age, because it's most, Sydney's daughter is there, but I didn't feel like the
Yeah.
focus was on her. It felt like this is a Scream for middle-aged people, which if they advertised it that way, maybe people would get into it, because like, this is, we've grown up with Sydney, and or the first movie is her anxiety of becoming a woman, and this is her anxiety about being a middle-aged woman and being a mom. And that's a really different approach for Scream, and I don't think the audience was ready for it.
I know like there were like just certain people explained it to me like this was just kind of like Sydney's movie. And I get that, but just the reveals of the ghost faces, it just kind of went against the Scream formula, and they didn't really connect back to Sydney's past. That was my thing.
Mm-hmm.
Now, like the kills, and I loved Tatum and Sydney, and like I loved all of that. It's just the reveal was very underwhelming. Like, so did Jessica go to high school with Sydney? you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I feel like it would have been better if, like, I know it was completely, I guess, unrealistic that Stu survived, but that's just the way like they were setting it up. And I don't know, it's a movie, so it wasn't completely bad, but it was definitely not like, let's get a Blu-ray, guys, of an alternate ending and put that post-credit scene in there.
Yes,
okay?
yes.
Now, was there a specific horror film that inspired Dead Media?
No, I think I was inspired by lots of the different things I love, and not in any way where I'm like, ooh, I want to make a movie like X. It was more like I have things I love, so I'm kind of marinated in them. Scream, I think, had an impact on, there's parts of Dead Media where the uncle character, Uncle Happy, is kind of obsessed with rules, and that's the thing I think that Scream really started and solidified. I mean, but then it goes back to, like, again, my beloved original Dracula film, Van Helsing's basically listing rules of, here's how the vampires work. So I think that Scream probably had an effect. I'm a big, like I said, Twin Peaks, David Lynch fan, so that has an effect. I'm a big fan of the Coen brothers, and they don't do straight horror, but they do a lot of tension and they do a lot of drama. Mixing drama with kind of dark, weird comedy. So I think that was an influence. It's been a really fun process for me as I get it out in the world and talk about it, for myself to make other realizations of movies that maybe had an impact. And it's also having this great experience where people will be like, hey, did you base this on X movie? And I'll be like, no, because I haven't seen that movie. And then I get a new movie to go watch. I'd never seen the weird old horror film Carnival of Souls. And somebody brought that up to me at a Q&A, and I watched it, and it's like, yeah, damn, this has got similar vibes, and it's great. And now it's one of my favorite horror films.
I've heard of that, and I have not watched it, but I believe it's when Cass has mentioned it to me. But Uncle Happy, I definitely got, like, the Scream vibes, and, like, Randy. I think if Randy had survived, he would have been Uncle Happy. Period. He
Yes.
really would have.
Yes.
I loved him so much.
Oh, good. Yeah, I never thought about
Yes.
it but that's exactly the kind of thing I'm talking about. Like that, I did not think about that, but when you say it, it makes perfect sense. Like, yes.
Yeah. He really is just the rules and just how he was, even just how he dresses. Like it definitely reminded me a lot of Randy from Scream. Now, do you think the film is more about horror, nostalgia, or family? Because I think it's a great combination of like all three, especially um just with his nieces. I'm so sorry, I'm forgetting her name off the top of my head.
Maggie.
Maggie, yes, Maggie. Because she's at kind of like a crossroads of like, what do I do with life? And
Hmm.
there was just some really good themes behind that.
Yeah, I think for me, I like it when whatever's going on with the horror really speaks to what's going on with the characters. And I know
Mm-hmm.
sometimes that people make jokes about A24, where it's like in this one the monster is guilt, and I think you can be too on the nose about it, but I really like it when there's sort of uh rhythms that speak to each other. So when I was thinking about it, I was really thinking about the family issues of when someone's there for you and they really love you, but they're also maybe not being the best for you, and those feelings of being
Exactly.
trapped is that kind of led me to the monsters that are these kind of different monsters that are sort of movement based, that that you have to be very still around. um I really liked how that the actual horror that's in there echoed some of what the characters were feeling.
Oh, most definitely. I does horror have to always be like elevated? No. But I don't think it's necessarily even about so much as that. Like real life can be horrific.
Hmm.
It may not even just be about death. It can be just about maybe not good relationships with the people you love, and that in itself can be very hard and horrific, honestly. And I think I just like when there's horror movies that have a good story
Hmm.
and it resonating with me in certain ways in certain areas of my life. Like, yeah, do I love like a good slasher and just some kills and some blood? Yes, but I do like a lot better when horror makes me feel, it makes me think, and I think horror always really has been like that, whether
Hmm.
people want to say it is or not. Now, how did you balance the comedy and just kind of scares throughout this? Because it was pretty funny. It was
Yeah,
pretty
yeah.
funny.
Yeah, so I have a background in comedy. I started out mostly as a performer, and I started writing my own stuff just so I would have stuff to perform. So I did a lot of uh, plays, but they're all always funny. And I've done stand up and I've done improv, so a lot of comedy in my past. When I sat down to write this, I wasn't thinking about comedy really. So I have so many times where I've written something that's it's going to be a play or a story, so it's going to have characters and themes. But I've also told people it's a comedy, and I'm asking people to come to it live in person. And when you said it's a comedy and you're going to be there in person, to me, there's a promise that like you owe the audience a certain amount of laughs. So there's been a lot of
Yeah,
times in my writing career where I'm like, well, I've written this like really nice scene between these two characters, and it's really true about what they want, but I need to fit 3 laughs in there. And with this, it was almost the opposite, where it's just like, I'm just gonna write the horror, I'm gonna write the characters, I'm gonna write the themes, and without thinking about comedy, it came out honestly even more jokes than I thought about, because everything that to me that's funny in this came from truth. Of like, okay, well,
yeah,
if there's a '90s movie that kind of went off the rails, what kind of things might happen? If there's a DVD menu that's kind of over the top, what would that look like? If there's this, you know, older man who will not let the late '90s go, what kind of
yeah,
things would he be into? There's the roommate of the niece, Brenda, who's like she's a really sensible, forward moving person who's out of patience with this old man, so she would express herself in certain ways. And I think what I like about the comedy is that there's not a single joke in there that's because like, this should be a joke now. It's all because it was just like, this is how these characters would express themselves. So I'm pretty happy with that.
Well, I think the actors did very well with balancing that too. They were really good. I'll have to say Uncle Happy is most definitely my favorite.
Yeah, they're all very good, and they're a lot of them have a lot of theater experience, and on stage sometimes you do kind of have to push a joke a little bit, like, and
Yeah.
that was a really fun conversation with the actors of like, you do not need to deliver any jokes. Just everything is truth. Just keep it true. And everybody's really good about that, of just dialing it in and just being honest to the character. And I think that made it much funnier than if it was a sort of like,
Yeah.
we're trying to sell the punchline, you know?
Yeah, exactly. What's one detail or Easter egg fans should watch for on a second viewing of it?
Hmm. A fun one for me. There's a specific production logo. When they start watching the film within the film, Night of the Lurchers, there's a series of kind of old production logos, and the last one is called The Hand That Grasps, and that logo pops up other places and ties to a specific character.
Oh, okay, okay. Well, I will be sure to keep an eye out for that next time I watch it.
Yeah.
If Dead Media becomes a franchise, where would you take the story next? Or is it going to just kind of be like a one and done?
Yeah, I think for me, I feel like this is the story with those characters. And if I did anything with it, I would be interested in the monsters. It's the Lurchers are the name, and they're, like I said, they're different kind of monsters. To me, they're like somewhere between a vampire and a zombie. They're very movement based.
Yeah.
And they're very tied specifically to where my ancestors come from, which is Scandinavia, and Norway in particular gets name checked. So it'd be really fun to do, like, okay, maybe what are the Lurchers up to in Norway? And then my wife and I can fly to Norway, and it'll be great.
Right, exactly. Yeah, I think it'd be cool to even just see like a prequel of like the actual like production of like Night of the Lurchers and like what exactly transpired to like make it haunted and all of that. Because I like, people are very fascinated with just quote unquote like cursed films. There's a whole like a whole show or kind of series on Shudder, something like that, about certain ones.
Oh, cool.
Like I think Poltergeist was named one of them, even though I don't really. There's a lot of really bad things that happen just kind of with the cast of Poltergeist, but I don't necessarily would classify it as like the movie was like kind of quote unquote cursed. Like just some not very nice things happened to certain cast members, and people passed away. Now, as both a writer and director, what was kind of like the biggest challenge wearing both hats?
I think the writer director hat together was pretty good. That was pretty nice because as a writer, it's nice to be able to to trust yourself to take your best work and throw away the stuff that isn't working. And it was nice to be able to, they say, kill your babies, kill your darlings. And I killed a lot of darlings in the writing, directing, editing process. The hardest thing about all of it was because of the budget, we had a very limited amount of time to film it. We shot it in 14 days, and it's really complex. And almost the entire cast and crew has since admitted to me of like, we understood what was going on in each individual scene, but the big picture, we were all very, very confused because we had to shoot it way out of order, and we had to shoot it very fast. And that was the hardest part, because it's always nerve-wracking to shoot a film and be like, did we really get that shot? Did we really get that scene?
Yeah.
And we had to move very, very, very fast. So that was the most nerve-wracking part. And people sometimes have asked me, like, if you had $1 million, what special effect would you do? And like, I would buy time. I would have filmed for 4 weeks with $1 million is what I would have done,
Yeah, I think it's very hard when you have a limited budget and kind of just a limited amount of time to just have certain locations, actor's time, and it's hard to kind of like be able to do all of it and not mess up because you can't necessarily like go back and refilm certain things. I think a lot of people don't really realize that when it comes to kind of just more of the indie horror films. Like, I don't know, you do with what you can, and I will tell you there is, especially I will say within this year of 2026 movies, I have had more fun watching certain indie horror films than I have the bigger studio ones. Really, I have. There's just more heart in the stories. Is there some things that maybe aren't great? Yeah, but I'm just seeing more original stories like Dead Media than in just some of the, I don't know, with the bigger studios, I don't know who's writing the scripts, but I don't know. They're just
Yeah,
not
I
really
mean,
landing on certain things.
yeah, I mean, obviously we've had some breakouts that come from, YouTube, and I think come from Heart with the obsessions in back rooms, and that, and I live in Hollywood, and one of the reasons I decided to start making film after all the other things I've done is I was pitching for a long time of, writing movies and television shows, and then getting in the room and trying to convince people to buy them, and it is a business, and everybody is always trying to protect themselves. And so everybody says like, well,
Yeah.
what's the best is new, fresh ideas, things nobody's ever thought of. But then when it's, somebody's job to go, I'm going to risk my entire career and whether or not I can feed my kid on taking a risk. And if I'm the executive who passed it up the chain and said, we have to make this, and it doesn't work, that's my ass. And so I think a certain amount of safety sets in, and I think
Yeah.
that's what I think. A lot of screenwriters. I know friends who have sold scripts, and then the movies don't turn out great, and they
Yeah.
kind of, it's bad business, it's bad form. They can't go like, could I go on the Horrorcraft podcast and explain how my script was actually good, because they want to keep a good relationship. But a lot of things will happen if a script is fresh and original, and then they're like, but audiences expect a jump scare of exactly this nature at exactly
Yep.
this minute, so we have to shove it in, and it has to be that way. And I think it's a thing that we're seeing a lot of. There's to me, I don't even think it's like that, like certain films are bad. There's just a sameness that's
Yes.
getting really bad right now, that things are being sort of hammered into. This is the 3-act structure. It fits exactly like this. If it's a horror movie, is it a found footage horror movie? Then we have to apply these exact rules and this exact.
Yep.
And I think indie films, even if they're like a little rough around the edges, are not concerned with that. They're concerned with the heart of the idea.
Exactly. I think with just, I don't know, the bigger studios, they want original ideas, but when they're presented them, it's not safe. And I guess that's another thing, like we're streaming because people are not going into movie theaters to see movies anymore.
Mm-hmm.
I also think with just like Terrifier, I'm not a huge fan of Terrifier. I like the second one the most. I didn't really particularly like the third one. I think we have been on such a horror high with that.
Mm-hmm.
There are people that weren't necessarily horror fans that watched Terrifier that now suddenly are. And, that just became a huge success, really.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we are just seeing a lot of, because like we're about to be getting to the fourth movie, and like we still don't have a backstory on who the hell Art the Clown even is. Like there's just no lore established. Like what is this maniacal clown? Why doesn't he talk? Where did he? I'm a person that I like that.
Yeah.
I like when there's time taken into horror movies and building that story. And I think we're just riding that wave of blood, guts, and gore and just extreme stuff, which is cool. I know a lot of people like that, but I don't know. There's just, like I said, there's a lot of people that weren't horror fans before, but watch Terrifier and Art, and it's really kind of just offensive to the people that have been like writing for horror since they were like kids and shouldn't have been watching certain horror movies, So, but I don't know. Maybe we need to get rid of just some of just all the streaming stuff and get back to just regular movie filmmaking. I don't know.
Yeah, I think there's a lot that can happen. I think with the success this summer of Obsession and Backrooms, they're going to be looking for younger
Yeah.
folks with different perspectives, and there'll be some movies that come out that are like, this is a sad,
Yeah.
tangential ripoff of Backrooms, right? And then there'll be something that's like, ooh, on the surface it looks like Backrooms, but it's actually somebody else with a different idea, getting
Yeah.
through. And I think for me, like a lot of it goes back to physical media of, they all the big companies started the streaming services and they need to keep those fed. So like, it's annoying to me. There's a bunch of movies that I wanted to see and I want to see them in the theater, and they're already coming out on streaming, and it
Yeah.
devalues the movie. Like, I grew up with He-Man and I want to see that He-Man movie. I got to see Backrooms, but I've been too busy with getting Dead Meat out into the world. I didn't get to see Obsession in the theater, and I wanted to see it in the theater with an audience, and it's already on streaming. And I think it starts to devalue the
Yeah.
not just the experience, but the films itself, because there's a huge difference between like you said, I chose to drive an hour and 49 minutes. Like, that's an
Yeah.
experience. That's a night out. There are more memories associated with that, other than like, I'm doing my laundry and I got my phone, so I guess I'll check it out.
Yeah.
That's not the
Yeah.
same experience, and I think I don't think we have quite the same experience that 80s, 90s, even early 2000s people did, of like going to the video store and really
Yeah.
choosing something that makes you value it. Or everybody's talking about this, so I got to see it in the theater because it's not going to come out on streaming or DVD for 6 months to a year. And if
Uh-huh.
I don't see Obsession this weekend, then I'll be out of I won't know what anybody's talking about for months and months and months. And I think it's kind of suicidal that the large corporations have destroyed that fear of
Yeah.
missing out.
Most definitely. I was a huge fan. I'm a huge fan of Curry Barker. His short film on YouTube, Milk and Cereal, just diabolical. Diabolical. And I kept hearing buzz about the backroom shorts on YouTube, and it had been on my, because I'm a huge found footage fan, it had been
Yeah.
on my list of things to check out. And I heard, A24 got him, and was just doing some digging and watching the shorts. I mean, they were phenomenal, and I just couldn't believe like a 16-year-old kid did this.
Yeah, it's
Like,
fantastic.
what could I do? You know what I mean? But I went and saw the Backrooms in the movie theaters, and that was a whole experience. Now, we got it on Fandango, and it was way better seeing in movie theaters. I did watch Obsession. That was really good. But I really wanted to see the Backrooms. Another one I went and saw in theaters was Undertone. And that was one I definitely, like, if you could have seen it in theaters, like, you should have. But it was very creepy, but I think it may have been creepier watching it at home. just a little bit. But that one was another one that was really good that a lot of people didn't like because it wasn't jump in your face like jump scares. Like, you don't really see anything. It's all just all like audio. And I don't know. I think that can be just as terrifying then as a good old jump scare, but
yeah. No.
I don't know. Now, what is your favorite subgenre of horror?
I would say like folk horror. I really like The Wicker Man from 1973. I think folk horror is maybe a weird way to describe Rosemary's Baby, but I think I like the creepy and the gothic. Like, I like I like blood and good jump scares and that. But there's almost like kind of this like, is it spooky or is it scary? And sometimes I like the spooky. I like, it's almost more unnerving to me to that feeling of dread that something isn't right. As long as it pays off, I think there are some things that for me are like just kind of stay in spooky dread mode for too long. But I would say that that's something that I really gravitate toward.
Yeah, I like some folk horror. There was one I watched recently, The Ritual. I had never seen that, and I was just like, how have I never not seen this? And that was really good. Another one, I guess this will come out when it's finally hitting Shudder, but Nightborn, that's going to be coming to Shudder. This is going to be in time when this episode comes out, but it comes out next week or the week after on Shudder.
Okay.
But it's kind of like a Finnish folklore and about a baby. It has Rupert Grint from Harry Potter in it, but it was really, really good. I loved it. It was a gorgeous film. Like, it was gorgeous, and it had some really good, just kind of motherhood, maternal themes in it.
Yeah.
Now, but yeah, that comes out the 31st. Yes, 31st.
Okay.
So I'm not spoiling anything. It'll already be out. I wanted to double check because there's embargoes on things, but and it was cool seeing Rupert Grint, and I know he's been in some other things, but that was the first thing I have seen him in since probably Harry Potter.
Yeah, that's great. He's fantastic.
Yeah. Now, is there a horror trope you love, or also one that you're tired of seeing?
I think one I love is relationships. I love seeing people break because of the horror. Because we were talking folk horror, one of the other ones that came to my mind is Midsommar, which I really like because it is, again, all the horror is tied to relationship and seeing people sort of push to their limit. I think for tropes, I haven't
seen that.
Oh yeah,
I have not seen that.
Yeah, it's also tied up in Scandinavian culture, which is the culture I'm from and getting more connected to. Because when I was a kid, it was not really taught to me what was interesting about it. It was just like, here's some weird fish. You're Scandinavian, and like that was it. So as an adult, I've been really in recent years really interested. So there's that. I think for tropes, as we've been talking, Scream. I think I'm a pretty forgiving audience, and it's like either kill them or stab them once. but some of these survivals, I don't. They're it does start
it's like Mindy and Chad.
Yeah, that's kind of Chad in particular is what I'm thinking of. Like, okay, Mindy's been, but Chad, I really like 6, and they, absolutely it was like,
they gutted him like a fish.
Yes.
And then it happens again in 7. It's just like, Chad, how, like, it's too realistic that Stu survived a TV falling on his head, but it's just realistic enough for Chad to keep surviving. I mean, even Randy didn't make it past the second movie, and that's his uncle.
And they stuck to that, right? I think I like it when things try to have a sort of an internal consistency, and Scream is probably my favorite franchise, and it's getting a little wobbly with its internal consistency about what is survivable or not in the heightened world of Scream,
I don't know. I will say this one was probably the most brutal. The kills were. I did enjoy that, especially like McKenna Grace's character. Just
that was nasty.
That was nasty. I did enjoy that. But it is getting a little like. I just feel like we're making movies just to be making them because of the name.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then you guys killed Dewey off in 5, like.
Yeah, and that's hard because that's kind of what I'm advocating for. Of like, if you're gonna do it,
Yeah.
And they did it to poor Dewey.
Maybe Chad is going to be like the new Dewey because he also just everyone he got stabbed. And
this is, I'm probably verging into Uncle Happy territory and being a grumpy old man about it, but like I feel like I like that they had a nod so that there was like the paramedic putting him in the ambulance at the end of Scream 2. It's like apparently it hit some old scar tissue. Like, it's not a super realistic explanation, but it gives you just a tiny little thing to hang your hat on.
Yeah.
But with with Randy in 6, it's like there's nothing, you know.
Yeah. I don't think that they should have killed Randy off in the second one. Um I think they should have killed Dewey off in the second one.
Ooh.
I know it's a very we had an episode.
Oh, I said Randy. I meant Chad in 6. My apologies. Yeah.
Chad,
Yeah.
you're fine, but
Okay.
we did an episode kind of on the Scream franchise right before 7 came out, and I know it's a spicy take, but I just feel like Randy deserved better. I'm a huge Randy fan. I'm a female version of Randy, okay? I follow the rules. That's why I'll survive a horror movie. I just feel like, I don't know, the Dewey and Gale thing, they were just not together, or they would be, I don't know. And I just feel like Randy could have really just kind of added to actually helping at times. You know, that's my really hot take.
Yeah, a little. I always liked Dewey and Gale, but there was a little back and forth over the later sequels. Of they're together, they're not together, they're back together. Like, yeah, I would like
They
that
were
more.
more split up than they were together, and it's just like, I don't know. I don't know. But
Yeah.
I honestly thought in 7 that Gale was going to be Ghostface this time around.
Yeah, I thought that was a possibility.
It kind of just, even in the movie, like, it kind of like led that way, and like, is Mindy and Chad helping her? That would have been I don't know, that would have been bad. That would have been really bad. Now, what is your favorite practical effect in dead media?
There's a great team who worked on just a 2-person team. Their company is called Outpost 31, and they did all of the practical effects. They did all the monster makeup, and there is I wanted it to be different when the lurchers got wounded, without getting too into spoiler territory. And there's a mix of effects of what happens to them.
Mm-hmm.
When I first came to Ryan and Becky, they're like, okay, well, we got some ideas. And they developed a cannon, an air cannon. And Ryan is the one who operated it. And Ryan is a very, very tall man. And so there's some shots where, like, you know, people have very nicely said, like, oh, that's cool. I don't really see it. How did you do that? And it's just really fun to be like, there is a very large, tall man with a cannon just crunched down on the floor. And so I like the way the effects turned out, and it's really happy memories for me of, you know, there were a lot of great moments, and there's a lot of stress too to shoot really fast. But when Ryan and Becky came in and would pull off an effect on the first try, it was some of the moments of just like the whole cast and crew bonding, of like coming around the monitor and cheering and going, oh man, you did it, we all did it. And like, that was some of the most just beautiful parts of the filmmaking process.
Yeah, the practical effects were great. Like, and they were just kind of different than what I was expecting from the lurchers, but they were, I don't know, practical effects over anything all day, every day.
Yeah.
Now, what's one thing you hope audiences take away from watching dead media?
I hope that they spend some time just thinking about it, and if it speaks to them, taking some time to go, well, why did I like that, or if they didn't like it, why what did I bump against? But I think, like, the biggest compliment you can give to a film is not treat it as disposable. Treat it as something like, I made the choice to spend time with this, and now I'm going to let it sink in a little bit. And you know, that's the thing I've been going on and on about. If people listen to these podcasts, I've been going on and on about the streaming, that, you know, it's not just that it's not tangible, it's that I think it encourages us not to let movies sink in, because a streaming movie ends, and even if you love it, the first thing that pops up is thumbs up, thumbs down, stars, rate it, and then it get you to skip the credits. And so there's this model that's consume, have an immediate opinion, and then move on to the next one. And I think some of the films that have meant the most to me is either I love them, or I love part of them and was challenged by it, and then I sat and thought about it, and I talked to friends about it, and the relationship deepened. So for me, the biggest thing that the biggest compliment people could ever give Dead Media is like, it was fun. I enjoyed watching it, but then I thought about it.
Yeah, it just, well, you know, the night this took place in the movie is October 23rd, and that's my birthday. So, and it just reminded me a lot of like what I would get DVDs a lot for Christmas and my birthdays. My dad got me into horror, and he's no longer here. And my mom hated it. But she would buy me the DVDs. Like, I
Nice.
had a lot of Nightmare on Elm Street ones, not all of them. But it just reminded me of a time of really of discovering a horror and becoming a horror fan. And it does make you think a little bit now, just with streaming, like, and just being fed up with just how certain things are operating in the world right now. And like the little bit of power really we could have by, you know, just saying F you to certain consumerism is physical media. Like,
Yeah.
you don't have to pay for the streaming service. You don't have to buy the digital copy. You can go on Walmart. You can go eBay. Like, Walmart still has like the dollar DVD bins.
Wow.
Yeah, you can, you know, garage sale, but you can still get DVDs. They're attainable, or Blu-ray, you know, and then you own it. You have it. And for me, it's just kind of like or just a reminder of my childhood. So that's definitely what I took away from Dead Media.
That's fantastic. I love hearing it.
Good. What is next for you after Dead Media?
So right now, we're on the road show, and if people want any information about that, that's at antennareleasing.com/films/dead media. And then as soon as that's done, it's a part of my contract with Antenna that they're going to put out a Blu-ray and a DVD version. So I'll be working on some bonus features because this film has to have good bonus features.
Yes.
An Easter egg, that would be terrible. So we got some ideas for that, and then got several ideas, and I got a couple scripts I got started, and I really can't wait to make the next film as soon as possible, because this was don't ever want to lie to anybody who's thinking of making a feature film. This was an incredible amount of work and an incredible amount of stress, but I wouldn't trade it for the world, because it's just been so joyful to imagine something and then have all these people help me make it real, and then be able to share it with other people. There's just nothing in the world better than that to me, and that's all I want to do for the rest of my life.
I love that so much. I love that so much. That's what it's all about. When, again, I'm going to say it again, people don't realize what it takes to make a movie and to have the guts to do that. And just trying to, and just having fun, something you're passionate about. And if some people don't like it, oh well, because you are doing something you always wanted to do and you loved every second of it, even if it was extremely stressful filming it all in 14 days.
Yes. All worth it.
All worth it. I'm excited to see what you do next and when we're getting that physical media drop. Where can everyone find your work and just support the film in the meantime if they're not in California where the theatrical releases are going to be?
Yeah, so the theatrical release is going to be all over the place. We're going to the South. We're going to the East Coast. We're going to the Midwest. Not everywhere, but as we're recording this toward late July. We got a bunch of screenings coming up. You can find them all on Antenna's website. If you want to follow me, I'm at Joseph Scrimshaw. Just my name is my handle on almost all the social media. And Dead Media has an Instagram account that's a Dead Media Movie. You can find us there, and then you can just go to YouTube and also search Joseph Scrimshaw. And I've got several short films. Some of them like hired a whole crew, and some of them just like fun things that I did on my phone for fun. But I got about an hour worth of short films, almost all of them
Nice.
horror based. So you can check those out.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Joseph, for coming on. This was such a treat. I love Dead Media. Guys, go check out all of this. If you're able to see it, go see it. And when the physical media drops, buy it, because DVDs are still here, and we can keep that alive. We don't have to keep feeding the machine of the streaming services, guys. But until next time, it's me, Kylie. This has been another round of the Horrorcraft Podcast, and we are saying stay weird and, as always, stay spooky. Bye.